Joining me now is Jacob Soboroff, NBC News political and national correspondent, who's on the ground in Pacific Palisades. And please just give us a sense of what is happening. And is there anything left at this point of Pacific Palisades, Jacob?
Oh, Joy, it's, and I'm sorry to be so emotional about it, but the truth is this is the community that I grew up in and I was born and raised in. And the answer is no, not really. This is a really, really amazing, special place. 23,000 people live here. And I, until I was 18 years old, grew up in this neighborhood. This is the Methodist church in town. And it just seems like building after building continues to go up, Joy. And what I want to say about it is the set of circumstances that are so unprecedented that I don't think any of us could have ever possibly imagined that this would happen here. I have said a couple times today that when you think of damage like this and you close your eyes and envision what might cause this, it's the big one, the earthquake that we've all been warned and really it was just this firestorm. These hurricane force winds, this tinderbox ready to go with the dry vegetation. And for so many people here and so many people who rely on the way of life here, you're hearing another one of these emergency alerts right now. Sorry, Joy, about evacuations. This place is never going to be the same, or if it is going to be not months, but years before they put this place back together. So there's a lot of grieving to do. A lot of rebuilding to do, but also really, some real action, some real work, and some real policy that needs to happen as well, including, but not limited to, how are they going to pay for all of this, and what's the federal government's role going to be in helping pick up the pieces here, in what is really essentially wiping off one of the main communities in Los Angeles off the entirely in the city of Los Angeles.
And we're having some issues with your feed, so I'm going to keep trying to talk to you, and hopefully you'll keep coming through for us. Is there any sense of what initially sparked the fire? Is there any sense, or are we too early to even get there?
What it sounds like is that up in the Palisades Highlands, Joy, which is in the Santa Monica Mountains, Pacific Palisades sits between the Santa Monica Mountains and the Pacific Ocean, that whatever it was, combined with the wind, quickly ignited a blaze that went from double-digit acreage to over 100 acres, to quickly to over thousands of acres. And because of all this wind, these embers, usually we're associating fires with going uphill in a situation like this. They have gone all the way from up in the Santa Monica Mountains. And actually, I don't know if I can show you if we swing the camera around real quick, but for the first time in quite some time, and the ridgeline there and some of the homes that are above Pacific Palisades, the fire came down from those mountains all the way to the Pacific Ocean. And I think what I've been told by people who are experts in this field is that you can always triangulate the start of a fire based on how it burned and when it burned. That process will certainly happen. But what we know for now and what we can say is that this fire that's burning here tonight is part of a blaze that ignited up in the Santa Monica Mountains and was fueled by these hurricane force winds, the likes of which I don't remember ever seeing here in Los Angeles.
And we've heard about the winds. As you said, it's hurricane force winds. We also obviously see that you're wearing a mask and eye protection. What is the state of the air quality at this point, and how unsafe is it for folks that are still there, including the first responders that are trying to do the work of containing these fires?
It's horrendous. I'm just listening to whatever that noise just was. It's horrendous. I mean, think about not only the smoke from the foliage that's burning and started these fires, but everything in every one of these buildings. Multiply what you're seeing here. Most of these buildings, I remember what they were. Maybe I can just walk up to this and see. I don't know if it'll say. No, that's just the address. But these were all places of businesses. I said to Nicole Wallace earlier that the veterinary office that my parents used to take our dogs to was right down the street. My pediatrician's office was on the corner. All these places are going up in smoke. And imagine what's inside all of these facilities. Both supermarkets in town burnt down. The banks burnt down. The libraries burnt down. The city park burnt down. Many of the schools burnt down. The houses of worship are burning. Everything inside these places is actually in the air right now. Not to mention the homes, the power lines, the vehicles that have been abandoned and left on the street. It is a Herculean task to recover from something like this, and we're still in the middle of it, actually.
NBC's Jacob Solmarov, I am sorry that we have had to watch you have to grieve for your hometown live on air. You've been doing it all day and doing an incredible job. We so appreciate you. We're so sorry for what's happened, and thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us, Jacob.
Thanks,
be well
Joy.
and be safe. Okay. Joining me now is Senator Adam Schiff of California. I don't even know what else to say other than I'm so sorry. California is such a wonderful place. My sister lives in Los Angeles. My son lives in California. I just love this state. Talk a little bit about what your constituents are dealing with.
Well, I hope your family is okay.
They are. Thank you.
It's just awful, the devastation and the loss of life and the loss of property. I've been on the phone today with people who lost their homes. One of my staff lost her home, and we don't see the end in sight. I was there yesterday in California and could feel those extraordinary winds that are just whipping up this fire. Even then, I hoped that the situation would be better today, and it's so much worse. Heading back in the morning, we are getting a lot of help, and I thank President Biden for jumping on this so quickly. This must be one of the fastest disaster declarations that I can remember, but it's appropriate. This is, I think, the worst fire disaster that I can recall in the southern half of our state. But we're getting help from other states. We're getting help from other parts of California. And still, firefighters are really stretched thin. They're exhausted. I got off the phone just an hour ago with the L.A. County Fire Chief and thanked him for what his department is doing. I think I speak for all of us when I express the gratitude for those folks who are putting themselves in harm's way. But it's just brutal to realize how many people are displaced. The mayor of Pasadena was telling me that they have 100,000 people have been evacuated just from one of the fires. Mm-hmm. They have another 70 or 80,000 who are on notice that they may need to evacuate. So you also have huge parts of L.A. being displaced.
Yeah.
But I just don't remember anything like it.
I mean, seeing an entire city wiped off the map, and you know, it's so tragic to watch that happen. Here, Jacob's town is gone. You know, the rebuilding effort, he mentioned there's going to have to be a federal response. I mean, this is the wiping of entire communities off the map. At the moment, the response is in the hands of Joe Biden, who happened, coincidentally, to be in California. He is becoming a great-grandfather. He was there also to designate some indigenous land, you know, back to giving it to its rightful owners and doing things that are positive. In about 13 days, the federal response will pass into the hands of someone very different, somebody who's banging on about why weren't leaves being raked and about water not dripping right out of the faucets, and who's already, you know, blamed, you know, Democrats, blamed President Biden. I'm sure he's blaming you since he's got a special thing for you. Rather than being an adult, he'll be in charge of the federal response. What kind of help can California expect to get from someone like him?
Well, it's a good question. These fires obviously are impacting everyone, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, independent, doesn't matter. All of us are in this together. And one of the things that has been just so apparent in talking to people that have lost their homes is not only did they lose their home, they lost their whole neighborhood. Yeah. All of their neighbors' homes were wiped out. We've seen other fires in L.A. where it was very horribly idiosyncratic. One house would be burned. All the others around it would be fine. This fire is different. They're just all getting wiped out where this fire is blazing. And the president has swiftly acted on this. There'll be resources people can find out about on the FEMA website about how to get reimbursed and get immediate help with lodging and other necessities. But I shudder to think what will happen if we don't have a president that views us all as Americans, not some to be punished and others to be rewarded in natural disasters. We've just never had a president like that. We had it once, we're having it again. But I would hope that the incoming president realizes that this affects his supporters as well as anyone else. We're all equally devastated by this, and the federal government is going to need to help. And I'll add one other part of the devastation, which we don't know yet. But in talking to the mayor of Pasadena, he was saying that some of the residents, maybe a lot of the residents in the Eaton Fire area, were having trouble insuring their homes. Some couldn't get their homes insured. Others, the insurance premiums went up so high they decided not to continue to carry the insurance because they couldn't afford it. So they may be left with nothing. And so there are going to be a lot of people who are going to need help. They're going to need help from a Democratic president or a Republican president. I know Senator Padilla and I are determined to do everything we can to make sure they get the resources they need. Governor Newsom, the same. We're committed to all of our constituents, regardless of party. And
we hope, we can only hope that your colleagues in the Senate majority feel the same way. We've seen in natural disasters in the past, they don't always do, but we're going to hope that we'll hope better and think better of them until we get information otherwise.